Hey, I hope your week's going great. Mine's going great, so I hope yours is going great. We're continuing to talk about how would you respond if somebody says, how can you believe in God? Science has disproved God. And over the week we've talked about how it is going to require faith to believe in God, that science doesn't say anything, that scientists say things. And we've discussed one argument for the existence of God, which is the fine-tuning of the universe. Today I want to talk to you about what I feel is another incredibly compelling reason why I believe in God. You know, the Bible says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth in Genesis 1:1, and Genesis 1:27 says, so God made man in his own image, in the image of God he made him, male and female he made them. So the Bible distinctly says that God is the one that made people, and good news, you're made in the image of God. You have incredible value. When we talk about people and their existence, you're not just some kind of blob. You're not just some kind of a assembly of inert pieces. You are the most complex thing that we have discovered in the whole universe. Far more complex than the sun, the moon, the earth itself. Inside your body, you have trillions and trillions of cells, and cells are not little blobs. Every cell is this amazing, wondrous little factory of its own. If you could get in there, the workings of a cell are more complex than the most complex factory of all. Let me just because I could, make you fall asleep this morning or this afternoon when you're listening, going into the detail of some of this stuff, and I love it. But maybe you don't. So let me kind of tell you in story form. There's a book that I have been reading called The Body by Bill Bryson. And it's interesting because he is not a Christian, but he takes you on this wonderful journey of the human body and all the parts. And at the beginning of it, he tells a story about how there was this article on how much would it cost to build Benedict Cumberbatch. So if you know Benedict Cumberbatch, he was Doctor Strange in the Marvel movies. And apparently he is like the average size man. And they were saying that to build Benedict Cumberbatch, to all of the different elements and atoms and stuff like that make up his body, on one hand you could get, they were estimating $159, but there were apparently deeper research went into it because some of the rare elements in you are very rare and very costly. So let me read to you a little bit because I think it speaks to why I believe there's a designer. Okay, so it says, according to this research, the full cost of building a new human being using Benedict Cumberbatch as a template would be a precise $151,578.46. Labor and sales tax, of course, would boost the cost further. So you'd probably get lucky to take home Benedict Cumberbatch for much under $300,000 if you were trying to build him. That's quite a lot of money, but all things considered, clearly not, not out of this world. But then it goes on to say this, but of course this hardly matters. No matter what you pay or how carefully you assemble the materials, you are not going to create a human being. You could call together all of the brainiest people who are alive now or who have ever lived and endow them with complete sum of all human knowledge, and they could not, between them, make a single living cell, never mind a replicant Benedict Cumberbatch. So why do I think that there's a God? Because you think of the most complex computer that has ever been invented. That computer may be able to compute all kinds of incredible sums, but that computer cannot express emotion. That computer cannot eat a bunch of random things and power itself. It has to be plugged into a specific power outlet. The computer cannot reproduce itself. The computer on its own cannot walk and talk and grow and learn in that way. Now we have AI that is able to learn to some sense, but you are more complex than the most complex computer ever made. Each cell of your body is more complex than the most complex factory. You think of the Tesla factory, that Elon Musk makes, or the SpaceX rocket factory. Every cell of your body is more complex than that. As a matter of fact, it's so complex that the most brilliant minds, given all resources that we know of, cannot make from scratch a single living cell, and yet you have trillions of cells working in harmony and coordination to create organs, to move blood, to create neurons, to create bones, all to interact and make you. You are incredibly complex. The Bible says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I cannot fathom that this kind of complexity comes from chance. Blink your eyes, put your finger in your ear and wiggle around. Taste your teeth. Breathe in air. Feel the skin on your hands and arms. All of these things are a marvel and a wonder and a design by God. I believe that the complexity of life cannot be by chance, because everything that I see that happens by chance gets more chaotic, more destructive, and devolves, not evolves into a greater sense. Think of your bedroom. It never evolves on its own without outside help into being cleaner. It devolves into chaos. And that's what I see around us in the world and nature. It devolves into chaos, and yet we are these incredibly complex beings, as is your dog, as is a whale, as is a tree in different ways. The complexity to me speaks to a designer. So I don't see at all that science has disproven God. As I read this book, The Body by Bill Bryson, who seems to be an atheist, I fall in love with the wonder and majesty of God, because I see that you and I are fearfully and wonderfully made and have nothing to be afraid of when it comes to the realm of science. It should just allow us to worship God in a new and different way. And so I hope that encourages you and gives you something else to respond to if somebody asks you, how can you believe in God when science disproves God?